So I've been making my own cat food for over a year now. I started making it in October of 2019 because both of my cats have individual health issues that was difficult to find a food that they could both eat that was specific enough to each one of their unique health issues. So my female cat, she has feline immunodeficiency virus, and my male cat developed a huge bladder stone only when he was a couple of years old, and then he gets reoccurrences of those small bladder stones that can cause blockages in his urethra. So I've been interested in raw diets from the time point in which I got my female cat, which was in 2015, but usually due to FIV, raw diets aren't recommended for FIV cats. However, I've gone through as much literature as that is available for specifically looking into any actual FIV cats being fed a raw diet consistently that is homemade. And there wasn't a whole lot to go off of in that regard. So I decided to go ahead and try it and see if she tolerated it, and she's had it for over a year and a half now, and she's doing quite well. She's actually interested in what I'm doing. So let me turn the Toph. Oh, that's nice. So this is Toph. She has FIV. She was born with it. So that means her mother had FIV and passed it on to her. And this is Puppet. He is the one that has the bladder stones, but he has not had any occurrence of a bladder stone since I started feeding the raw diet. So the final straw was when he had a bladder stone, one in June or July of 2019, and then again in October of 2019. So that's when I decided to make the switch and try the raw diet. So I'll show you here what we need. So I've got all of my meat laid out. Chicken hearts, this provides good source of vitamins and iron. And then I have chicken thighs, whole chicken thighs with the skin. And I cut a little over 11 pounds of that. And then I can either do all chicken thighs or I'll supplement it with turkey if I want to mix it up a little bit. So last time I made it with turkey, and I'll go ahead and make it with turkey again this time. Then we also need livers. Livers contain important nutrients that are necessary. So when you make a raw diet, the nutrients are very important. They can't just survive off of eating meat and hearts and livers, and so you need other crucial components. So you can either source all of those individually and include it, or you can get a supplement. So I like All Nutrition supplements. I've been utilizing this. This is where I order it from, knowwhatyoufeed.com. This is what it contains: potassium, sodium, chloride, iron, copper, manganese, zinc, iodine, vitamin D, vitamin E, thiamine, vitamin B12, and taurine. So taurine will also come from the hearts. That's a good source of taurine. And you can also get iron from the livers and iron from the hearts. But I like to make sure I have a supplement. So I have written there it's 4 grams per pound. So what I'll do is add up all my pounds of meat, not including the hearts and livers. So I've got this much of meat. So I've gone ahead and calculated it. I have about 14 pounds of meat, so that means I need to use 55.9 grams of the supplement. I also calculated the price of all these ingredients that I've got, and it comes out to $20.24. So all of this here makes enough food for 2 cats for about a month, and it costs $20.24 and some time. So that is pretty good, and that is why I chose to do a raw diet, as well as its health benefits. But the price, the vets were trying to push different prescription diets for each one of them. She would have had to have one kind, and he would have had to have another kind. So that doesn't work well for me. It's very expensive per each individual cat, and I would have had to feed them 2 different foods. They both like to eat out of each other's bowls. This is usually how I feed them, in 2 bowls right there, and I like to be able to walk away and make sure that they each get their own food. And if they were eating 2 separate foods, they could accidentally, you know, or purposely in their case, go eat each other's food, and then it wouldn't be providing the individual needs that I was trying to get for them. So here we go. I'm going to show you a little bit of the prep on how I do this, and the grinding. I do have a grinder. You can either chop it all up and mix it together without a grinder, which I have done. I just started that way. I didn't want to invest in a grinder right away, so I did that, and it worked just fine. You can chop it up into small bits, or you can get a grinder. I got a very good grinder. It cost about $200, but it's been well worth it. I use it all the time. Well, at least once a month when I make their food. So we'll get started here in a second. I'm just going to gather up some different supplies and put what I don't need right now back in the fridge, and we'll get started. Alright, we're back with the setup. So I've got a board that I specifically use for cutting meat. Got my chicken over here, and my meat cleaver. So essentially we just chop it up. Since I do have a grinder, I don't chop it up super small. It's not necessary. But if you didn't have a grinder, All Nutrition also has a option for doing a recipe without bone, so it contains extra calcium. I can grind my bones in the grinder, so I don't need that. But if you didn't have a grinder and you wanted to make a simple batch, you know, say maybe you have 1 cat or something, you can buy the meat already without the bone. You can get the chicken thighs that are deboned. It costs a little bit more, but it just all depends on what you want to do. Sometimes I don't want to cut up as much and I don't want the bones, and I don't want to have to throw them away, so I pay more and get them. So these pieces are fine for throwing in my grinder, so I just leave them like that. This is the whole chicken bone with some meat around it, and I can throw that in my grinder. But if you wanted to chop it up real small, where you were just gonna feed it to them in a bowl, these pieces are fine. So as you can see here, Toughlin wants a piece. Yummy chicken. So yummy. She wants more. No chicken. Oh, now Puppet wants. You want a chicken piece too, honey? Okay, Puppet can have chicken piece too. Here you go, Puppet. Yummy. You weren't supposed to drop it on the floor. Did you just let her eat that? Oh my goodness. So let's take a look at body condition. You can see she's got nice shiny hair. He has nice shiny hair. We look at a top view. Nice and lean. Oh, he moves around a lot. Nice and lean. Nice and lean. Not overweight, not too skinny. So very, very good body condition it has kept them at. So this piece here, it's got some skin on it. Skin will go in the grinder too. And maybe chop it up a little bit more. So that's grinder size. I also do recommend having a cleaver. I didn't have a cleaver for a while when I made it. First I tried using kitchen scissors. I used my other knives, like chef knives and stuff, and it just wasn't as good as having a meat cleaver, because, you know, say you've got a chicken leg that's got a really decent bone in it. This is a really small bone, but if you need to make it smaller, check that out. It just chopped right through that bone super fast. So this one's got this is a pretty good size piece of chicken here. So get some chunks off of this. It's an okay sized chunk for the grinder, but you know, if you're having trouble like extracting that bone, like this bone's a pretty good size, so I can just there we go. Got much easier pieces. It's actually the hardest to cut through the skin. It would be better if we didn't have this bowl here rattling. So now my cats are yelling at me because they want more chicken. This is for later, okay? Cat over there. Tough. Hush now. So anyway, I'm going to cut up all this chicken and we'll be back with the next process, which will be taking it to the grinder.